Welcome everyone. I'm now calling this meeting to order. Please stand with us. We'll be led in prayer by Alderman Gallagher. After that, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance that'll be led by Alderman Payne.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you that you've gathered us again for this meeting, Lord. We pray that your grace would be upon us, Lord. Lord, we thank you for protecting our city, Lord. Lord, we thank you for watching over our children, Lord, and we pray that you would be involved in all of our decisions here and that you would give us wisdom to make correct decisions. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first on the agenda is the approval of minutes for 3 meetings. We had a regular meeting on August 6th, and we had two special meetings that served as budget workshops. They were on August 7th and August 8th. So if I can have a motion, first of all, to approve the August 6th minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of August 6, 2019 with any additions, deletions, or corrections.
Second. We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Hey, Nick, can we do 7 and 8 together since it's a budget workshop?
Same person makes the motion for both. You can have 2 separate entries.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the budget workshop on August 7th with any additions, deletions, or corrections.
Second.
And August 8th. And also move we approve the budget workshop on August 8th with any additions, deletions, or corrections.
Okay, we have a motion for both the August 7th and August 8th meeting by Alderman Payne and Alderman Gallagher. Your second is for both meetings?
That's correct.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is our budget amendment. Mr. Chris Wilson. This is for FY19.
Yes, sir, the FY19 budget amendment, as y'all know, we normally do these wrapping them up the year. The major increases in revenues were Fire Safer Grant, which was that just is the influx of the grant monies and expensed out in the fire for their salaries. The interest revenue and franchise fees are also up, and we need to adjust those and expense it out, as you see. And then the bottom box is utility fund. So it's to general fund and utility fund in this budget.
I'll make that motion. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Then next on our agenda is our FY 2020 public budget hearing. So I think we need to close the public meeting, open the hearing. Is that how we do it now? I should know by now. Okay, is there a motion to close the public meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Got a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Wheeler. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The public meeting is closed. Now, is there a motion to open the public budget hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Hoots. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The public budget hearing, is now open. And Mr. Chris Wilson will lead this off with just an overview of all the discussions in the proposed budget, and then we'll open up the floor both for the public and the board members for any discussion.
Mayor, Board, after the 2 days of hearings and meetings, it's a really simple budget. No tax increases, no increases across the board in fees or garbage rates or water rates. The big ticket items, again, obviously, it is a balanced budget. This will obviously be the first year that we adopt the full 17.4% of PERS citywide, which is an increase of $400,000. We did see a pretty good increase in the citywide assessed value, which led to new revenues in property tax, sales tax. We are projecting a healthy $15 million, first time we've ever been that high. We're on pace for about 15.1 this year, so we feel pretty good on that estimate. Two personnel, 2 new emergency dispatchers, 1 new facility maintenance tech for HVAC in public works, part-time court clerk, and the citywide salary adjustments that were discussed.
And if I may, I'll start off the discussion again, just to add to what Chris said. You know, the board is already aware of this. We've had 5 hours of discussion in public about it already, but just to remind, you know, on camera and to the public, each year when we start this budget review and start working on the proposed budget, you know, the biggest challenges that we face, a lot of them are similar to what any organization in America faces. Health insurance is a big challenge. In the FY19 budget, there was a $499,000 increase in the cost of health insurance. That's a cost that the city employees don't see. We take care of that. Obviously, they see the increase as well with dependents. But as far as the cost of the employees' health insurance, the city pays 100% of that. And we've in the last 5 years, it's gone up $1,010,000. So the city has continued every year. These people up here with the board have done a great job in finding a way to make that happen to where we don't have to pass any of that cost on to the employees. So anyway, I just want to, you know, not here to pat people on the back. I think it's important that our employees know that before we even get started and start talking about raises and all the other requests that are in the specific departments, that we eat that health insurance every year, and it's tough. It's extremely tough. Chris mentioned the PERS increase. You know, these are things that the city has no control about. State government votes on this and then passes the cost on down to the cities, and so we have to suck that up and we have to do it. So I just think it's important before we get into the specifics of what's in each department's budget that citywide, these are 2 big challenges, you know, that we face every year.
Close to $1 million between them both.
Correct. And then the other thing that's important to note is we've maintained our commitment to infrastructure improvement. We still have $2 million in there for street improvement. You know, we kept the lines. So we did cut the drainage slide. Was it 50?
It went back.
Did we get it back up? All right. So we maintained our commitment. We solved a lot of drainage problems in the last 6 years. The number of calls that come in are just, I mean, it's just drastically less than it was in 2013. So we've made a lot of progress there, but we remain committed to that. We've got those infrastructure improvement, you know, aggressive plans still in the budget there.
You got the $180,000 in public works vehicles that we requested on the one side, and $400,000 in 4 police vehicles, which we're looking to hopefully do something, but add a few more on at the end of FY19 as well. I know you requested 16, 400 won't quite get that. But we're still working on trying to get that full allotment of 16 vehicles between the end of it 19 and 20.
And the last thing I'd like to add, not to dominate the discussion, I'll shut up after this, but I do think it's important. You know, one of the priorities this year, even more so, every year we look at pay. We look at our competitive position with all of our positions citywide. But we've realized that, you know, with the climate, the police climate in our country right now, that it's become challenging. We have fewer people that want to be police officers, and that's just a fact. And so for that reason, we realize that we've got to do all that we can, you know, to make sure that the police officers in the city of Southaven, you know, have competitive pay and have, you know, and we want to make them not just competitive, but we want to try to, you know, widen that gap from our competitors as much as we can to make sure that we retain and recruit the best potential officers that are out there. So this budget shows a commitment to our police. Any discussion among the board?
Did you say we're going to try to get 2 vehicles in 19?
Should be able to do more than that.
Okay. So you're going to split the allotment?
Now, the bulk of it will be in 20 months.
Okay. Good.
Any other discussion among the board? there anyone in the audience that would like to question any budget line? We have the budget here. We'll take questions on any line, anything. It's all public discussion, so if there are any questions about anything, now's the time to come forward and ask.
The draft is also online.
Okay, any discussion? Anybody in the audience want to speak or ask questions about the budget? Okay, hearing and seeing none, is there a motion to close the budget hearing?
So moved.
Okay, a motion from Alderman Flores, second from Alderman Payne. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The budget hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to reopen the public meeting?
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion from Alderman Payne, second from Alderman Hoots. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The public meeting is now open. We'll move on to the next item on our agenda. Is the Springfest area parking improvements. We want to make an award there, and as y'all know, this is part of our aggressive park enhancement and expansion and enhancement plan. This is the pavement project where Springfest has occurred for many years. This project will now pave that area, so there's no mud issues with the barbecue teams. It also will landscape it, so there'll be islands and landscaping throughout with a center lane that goes up to the amphitheater. So it's going to be a beautiful project, and Mr. Dan Cornell is here to answer any questions and tell us the details.
Mayor, Board, thank y'all. As he said, we received bids back in early August. We recommend the award to actually the lowest and best bidder was actually the second low. We threw out some inconsistencies with the low bidder. So the lowest and best is Barnes and Brower at $1,324,162.58. I asked the board's approval to award that and give the mayor authority to sign contract documents, related documents.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion?
What'd you say?
Question, does this include, including where the rides are typically, or is this only where
It's just the barbecue.
track?
It's the barbecue area. And remind me, I can send you another, or did we have that in the packet, a map?
I did not bring a sketch of it.
Okay, I can email that to you, but it basically, to answer your question, no, it's the area that includes all the barbecue lots.
Okay.
To where the fence is, basically.
Correct.
Is that right, Dan?
It adds another access on the north end.
Okay,
And
okay.
it adds lighting, and yeah, it goes back to where that fence is, separates the,
From the carnival.
right.
And if anybody wants to look it up right now on my Facebook, my mayor Facebook page, there's a post on there that has photos of it, so it's on social media right now if anyone wants to look at it.
What was the bid amount again?
$1,324,162.58. The actual paving and drainage issues came in at around $650. The rest of it's utility work and electrical stuff. So it's all utility related.
And Alderman Flores, in our enhancement plan, we budgeted 700, so 700 for the work, and then,
Right.
so it's right in line with what we.
I remember
The minutes will reflect, I don't have that number, the minutes will reflect the actual low bid amount.
Well, and the reason that I do have the low bid amount, now there were some inconsistencies in the bid and our assumptions in it. They didn't realize it was a by item bid tabulation. So the tabulated bid amount was $1,162,047.00. But due to those inconsistencies, we had to throw that low bid out.
that. They were made aware of that?
Yes, they were made aware, and at that price would have rejected doing the work, so.
Is there any other discussion?
This will be a good improvement.
Oh, yeah.
Amen. Been in mud out there up to my knees for so long.
And obviously, in addition, I know everybody's excited about the Springfest, but obviously it's a parking lot too, so it's going to provide more parking.
It's huge too.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, Roll call, please.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, sir. All right, next on the agenda is a permission letter granting Hernando to supply water to customers in the city's certificated service area. Excuse me.
This is authorization just for Utility Department for Ray Humphrey to send that letter to the city of Hernando for, I think it's 18 to 19 addresses. The draft letter's in your packets, also with the minutes. It'll allow, currently, the city of Hernando is doing we do the billing, the Hernando provides the water, and this will just allow them to serve those customers for now until we can get a line to that location for an event that we do ever annex to that area. But at this juncture tonight, just authorization for the letter to be sent to those addresses so that the city of Hernando can start it to clean up the certificated area issue, and that they'll collect the monies for it. And that way, if there's an issue, Hernando will be the one responding to it as opposed to the city, because we don't have the capacity right now. We don't have the lines to do that, and it's not even within our city limits at this juncture anyway. So just for authorization for Ray to send that letter, or for Ray Humphrey to send that letter tonight is what's needed.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next on the agenda is the contract with DeSoto County Electric.
This contract is just for the City of County Electric, as the mayor noted, with the Public Works Department to allow them to assist with those items that would be in the ordinary course of maintenance and repair work. And they've provided the Exhibit A, which is the work they'll do. It's the same prices that were in 2014. So at this juncture, authorization for the mayor to sign this contract with DeSoto County Electric so that they can do those professional services associated with electric, along with the routine repair and ordinary course of maintenance type responsibilities as set forth in Exhibit A.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is resolution to claim private property.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the clean private property as presented on the state.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion among the board? Hearing none, is there anyone in the audience that has a financial interest in any of the properties that would like to speak? Hearing or seeing none, roll call, please.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is our planning agenda. Our planning director, Ms. Whitney Cook.
Yes, the first item we have on the agenda is a request for a conditional use permit to expand the existing mini storage and RV and boat storage on the south side of W. Ross Parkway, west of Pepper Chase Drive. There is currently the Easy Days RV park on both sides of W. Ross Parkway. And then as you go further down what's called Don South Drive, there's an existing mini storage that backs up to the W. Ross Tipton Pollard homes. They're requesting an expansion of that of 1.14 acres. This would actually add 38 covered units for boats and RV storage. Obviously, they will extend the detention area behind there. We did have some hydraulics or water issues. We ran the hydraulics on it the first time around to make sure that the water going down into the homes wasn't going to become worse. If anything, it would improve. It did improve with the last phase of it. They're carrying that detention over, so if anything, will improve that drainage. So with that being said, and the stipulation of running those numbers, the planning commission voted unanimously in favor of it.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve item number 1 on the agenda as presented.
Second.
On item 1, we have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, a second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Item number 2, we have an application to rezone 1 acre of property on the north side of Nail Road, east of Getwell Road, from agricultural to R20. This is family-owned property by a gentleman, and his sisters are wanting to split this one lot you see up there into 2 lots to build 2 additional homes onto the family's property. Check the comprehensive plan for this area, once this designated for future land use is low-density residential, R20, R30, and estate residential, all classified as low-density residential. Therefore, they are in the perimeters of the comprehensive plan designation of low-density residential. You have additional lots around that are R20 or smaller, so it does comply with the character of the neighborhood. So with that being said, the Planning Commission voted unanimously in favor of it as well.
Mr. Mayor, I make that motion.
Second.
On item 2, we have a motion by Alderman Wheeler and a second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion?
Rezoning.
It is reasonable.
Ask somebody what was the call again. Rezoning.
Okay. And is there any discussion among the board? Hearing none, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak about the zoning?
Well, I would. How you doing, Mayor?
Good. How are you, Mr. Maxwell?
Doing great. Yeah, I appreciate your consideration in accepting that. It's family-owned property, my great-uncle owns the property, and my sister, my brother, they plan on building 2 homes there, and it's gonna be a nice addition to the neighborhood.
Thank you for saying that.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Maxwell is a longtime resident of Southaven. I'd just like to say that he was not the kind of guy 30 years ago you want to meet on the sideline. One of the best linebackers to ever come out of DeSoto County right there.
Do you know that personally?
I do know that personally. My back still cracks a little bit. But if he'd have been 2 inches taller, maybe a half a step faster, he'd have had a long NFL career. And there's many scouts would tell you that. He was a great football player. And a great resident too.
And leaders.
And a great leader. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Our final item is an item that does not require a vote. Again, we have another tax incentive request for the Main Street District. There is an aerial photo attached with this one. We have a person who has come in to reinvest in this area. They have bought the Minuteman store, and they have bought all of the retail up and down Mill Branch. You will see a red roof. That is not correct. They're actually doing a gray roof. But if you can go before, one more picture up. Okay, this is right here at the corner of Mill Branch and State Line Road. They're building a retainer wall with some landscape plantings. They're what you'll see on their itemized list is they are redoing the parking lot. They're adding architectural columns. They're re-roofing it. They're adding planters everywhere. They're putting landscape everywhere. They're putting new lighting. They've got extensive interior renovations. They're doing exterior renovations. They're two-toning the stucco. They're replacing all of the rotten wood. They're putting new signage up, and of course they're doing HVAC repairs and replacement. The total investment into it will be in upwards of $600,000 plus. We're very excited about it. They are going to approach us about possibly doing some murals on some of the buildings that kind of represent Southaven. So they've come to us a couple times. I spoke with the mayor, but we're kind of giving them some design symbols to kind of incorporate. And they've got some people from the Memphis College of Art who want to come in and do the murals to kind of give it a funky little vibe in that area and give it its own characteristic. So, like I said, there's no vote tonight. We're just presenting it with their estimates for improvements. Once they get complete, then we'll come back and ask for the tax incentive approval.
Excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is fantastic. And is this 3 in a row? Have we
Yes,
ever
it is
had
3 in a row.
requests in
It has really started taking off. We have another one that could possibly come up for a demo and a rebuild too. I'm not going to give it away because the decision's not made yet, but there's one heavily leaning towards a takedown and a rebuild on the site too. So it seems to really be taking off.
Is it a Custer and 50?
No.
That's a shame.
But, no, he's welcome to go more in detail with that
I
one.
have a lengthy mayor's report tonight.
So, but that's it. Like I said, I'm here for any questions. There's no vote for it, but it is already underway. So.
Isn't that the old barber shop? Wasn't the old barber shop there?
Mm-hmm. The old barber shop's right on the corner right there.
That looks amazing.
They bought all the way down to where the old chiropractor's office was on the corner. They're planning on making that into kind of a park system to kind of be an asset for this development. So we'll see.
Okay, so we need a motion to,
No, there's no motion.
No motion.
It's just presenting it to you, so you'll see the work
Okay.
start. Once they get complete, we'll check over all the improvements and come back to you.
does anybody care about the West End? Up here, anybody, y'all care about the West End? You care, Whitney?
Yeah,
I care about the West End. Is the camera on, Michael? I care about the West End.
I'll scoot over.
Can you tilt the camera to show that a little bit? Care about the West End?
We do.
All right,
We
we'll
kind
move
of
on.
grew up in the West End.
Yeah, we know, some people up here know a little bit about the West End. Okay, we'll move on. Thank you very much. That's exciting stuff. That's really nice. Okay, next on the agenda is my mayor's report. So I'll try to move quickly through this. Since Alderman Payne asked, I'll go ahead and update the board on that. A lot of questions about the building that is in poor condition at Custer 51. The issue there, again, I've said this in public meetings before, and we'll say it again. There's an insurance investigation going on, and so we tried to wait and allow them to complete that investigation. They are, a lot of that's confidential. It's between their insurance client and the company, so they're not going to tell us, what's going on. We're frustrated. That problem occurred on December 31st of 2018, and so we felt like it's been adequate time, for that to be resolved. We've tried to be patient. It's something that we had a lot of discussion about. We do care. We care what it looks like. We don't like it. Anybody that's been around me knows that I don't like the way it looks. We've had a lot of discussion about it. So the update on it is that's why there's been a delay. We tried to be patient and let them have time to complete their investigation and resolve it. That way, if they did that and it was part of an insurance claim, then the insurance company would also be paying for for demolishing the building, rebuilding the building. If we go ahead and proceed with condemnation, ultimately the city pays for that. You're looking at about $35,000, $40,000. Is that correct, Whitney?
For the whole site, yeah, you're probably, that's a high number, but yeah.
Okay, and we do budget for that. Y'all know that we have a condemnation budget. So it doesn't just include cutting tall grass. It includes things like this too. We have demoed several dilapidated homes over the last 3 or 4 years. So we would be paying for that. So again, that's why we waited. We're trying to be efficient with the taxpayers' money. If the insurance company's going to pay for it, we certainly don't want to spend $35,000, $40,000 of the taxpayers' money. So that's the reason for the delay. Now again, the more specific update tonight is we still get no answers. I mean, we've reached out, we talked to the adjusters with the insurance carrier, we talked to everybody involved, attorneys, we get no answers. So at this point, we're going to proceed. We're going to start the process of condemnation. Again, we hope that we don't have to do that, but it's time that something changes. We've looked at it long enough. It's not fair to our citizens that drive by it every day. It's not fair to put kids at risk. I know if when my youngest son was younger, I can promise you that would be his ideal playground. He would be all over that. And I know that there's many other kids that would love to get in there, and it's dangerous. And so we can't wait anymore. So that's the update. We have started condemnation proceedings.
I've got a quick question. I mean, and you've got an extensive background in insurance. Is that typical?
No, it's not.
That they would take? I mean,
Absolutely not. What that leads to, and again, I'm not going to speak about a private issue because I don't know,
Right.
but to answer your question, generally what that means is there's some type of coverage issue or an obligation issue, either with the insured. There's something going on where the insurance company is questioning whether coverage exists.
I agree.
Okay, that's just the update on that. Then I'm going to move quickly if I can. Y'all know that, I'm going to go back, just go in reverse tonight. Okay, so the recent announcement about the massive Medline project, part of that project, the Mississippi Development Authority agreed to pay a large part or most of the Pepper Chase Road extension. In order for Medline to come there, they've got to have a second access or escape route or egress route. And so Pepper Chase, where it dead ends into the Lander Center, needs to be extended southward to Church Road. So it'll go kind of parallel to the interstate, and then it'll kind of meander back westward, on to Star Landing. But to do that, it's a significant amount of money, a little bit over $4 million. But we've received authorization from MDA that they're going to do that. However, we have to actually submit a formal application. So I need board approval tonight to apply for what they call a DIP grant from MDA for the Pepper Chase Road extension.
I'll make that motion.
We got a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, the next thing, just being attentive to, again, the needs of recruiting and retaining police officers. It's not limited to just police officers, but that's how this discussion started. We realized that we need to make an amendment to our employee handbook regarding our employee appearance and dress code policy. In that current policy, there are no visible tattoos. And I think everyone would agree that the public perception of tattoos, 20 years ago and what they are today, for most people, there's a different perception of that. Tattoos are more frequent now. Many more people use those. Some that choose to have tattoos are former military personnel who are highly trained and outstanding candidates for police officers. And the fact that we do not allow visible tattoos, even though we can use a sleeve and other ways to cover it up, when it's 100 degrees outside and you have someone that's out all day with a sleeve on, it's a gesture that I feel like we can comfortably make now to allow removal of that sleeve and to amend this tattoo policy to where some tattoos are, it's acceptable for them to be visible. And so that's what this policy, the guts of it, is about. It also addresses, just clarifies some language with, body piercings, body alterations, things like that. These are things that are prevalent now. So not approving that, I'm just saying it clarifies part of that. So it's my recommendation that we amend the policy and to allow more flexibility for the hiring process. And again, it's not just limited to police. It helps with our fire personnel. We have personnel in many of our other departments, that are out in the heat every day, that have tattoos. That this will allow them, to be able to, remove the sleeve as well. It still has stipulations in there about things that can be offensive to our citizens or other people. So there will be some judgment that is specified, in that policy. All of you have that policy. This was finalized after the deadline Friday, but we do have it. Michael, don't we have that? So that's it's there and available if anybody has any questions about that. But otherwise, if we can, I'd like a motion to make that amendment to our employee handbook, and then we'll open the floor up for more discussion.
I'll make the motion to amend to approve the amended dress code handbook page.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion?
Looks like you have everything covered though, so there's not going to be any offensive, no offensive tattoos or piercings and that kind of stuff. So.
Well, we did seek the services of labor law firms. We did reach out to seek some advice in that area. The police department assisted as well. Matt DeFore, did some research for us as well, had some input, as did Chief Moore, Chris Wilson. But we feel like that, there's nothing that covers 100% of situations that may occur. But this is based on what has been used with other organizations and, in modern, with modern day handbooks. Okay, is there any other discussion about the handbook amendment? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Okay. Next thing I want to go over with everyone is we have a change order for the monument signs that we've all discussed. I know a lot of people have seen the monument sign. That's the beautiful sign that's complete except for landscape lighting. at I-55 and State Line. We have another one that's been approved in this budget year to be on Interstate 55 on the southern entrance to our city that's facing northbound traffic. It's going to be a grand entrance sign. It's going to add a lot of character and beautification to our city. It's going to show the pride that we have in our city. It's going to be an economic development tool so people know, hey, when they're reaching the best city in Mississippi. And this sign has been a trailblazing event. It's something that the City of Southaven's never done before. So we've been bold. We've been out there. We've had some challenges along the way. Basically, as I've said in public meetings before, when you're entering Southaven from the south, ideally we wanted it to be on the eastern edge, so it's on the northbound lane. But the next time if you're traveling that way, you'll notice that there is no place to put it. It's all the grades are down below the interstate, so there was no room to put it there until you got all the way to Church Road. Well, that kind of defeats the purpose if it's a city entrance sign to wait till you're 2 miles inside the city before you have your sign. So what we chose to do is to go on the other side of the interstate and then turn the sign back to face the northbound traffic. So coincidentally, the location of the Medline development, which is going to be fabulous, there's a hill right there. It's the most ideal place. It's up on a hill, so we chose that place. We did some work to get an easement there so we could place the sign, got all that done. We started proceeding with construction of the sign, and we ran into challenges. Ran into some big challenges. Actually, the Pepper Chase extension that I just mentioned is going to be coming parallel right there. We didn't realize exactly how close it was going to be, so we had some challenges on how we turned the sign, how we fit it there. We also did not know when we started trying to put the sign on that hill right there that MDOT has some utilities that are buried right there, and we don't know, they're not marked, so we couldn't grade the hill down for that reason. So we realized that we got some elevation problems. So basically what we did is went back and we adjusted the angle of the sign. We did start the sign. It was at the improper angle. As we learned these other things, we made an adjustment. We went back and had it redesigned to give it 4 feet more elevation to get it above that hill, so it has the optimum visibility for the northbound traffic. We feel like we've got it right now. It's been a painful process. It's been tough. But we got a change order tonight, and that's what I'm asking the board now, to approve the change order that paid for making these amendments to the sign, both from an angle standpoint and an elevation standpoint. The amount of the total change, hold on just a second, let me get you the exact amount. The exact amount for the total change order is $39,148. So tonight, I'm just asking for approval for that change order so we can proceed with the construction of the sign.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We got a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion?
I'll just tell you, with the sign we have down here on State Line Road, I've gotten at least 2 or 3 dozen compliments about how nice it looks. And
Good.
so, I mean, I'm sure this is going to be the same thing as we're going to have down there with that one. And so,
Well, this one, again, although it's been painful, I will say that when this one, we have a mock-up down there now. We have wooden braces with the proper elevation, and also just a plastic banner that has the letters and the size that it's going to be to give a good, a visual of what it's going to look like. It's going to be grand. I mean, when we get these changes done, get it built up higher, get it turned at the correct angle, it's going to be a great entrance for our city. So I think what we're seeing down here, you're going to capture, more people are going to see the one on the interstate. So I think that, the positive comments that you're getting on this one, I think we're going to see that, exponentially with the one on the interstate. But thank you for saying that.
Did you say it was going to be lit up too?
It is going to be lit up too. We looked out on that, Whitney. Then we realized there is power with the Medline development right there in the area.
As soon as they get under construction, they'll have their utility lines run. So we're prepping and just going to the west with our pipe so we can run the electrical and attach to Medline. So we looked out. So right now there's no power anywhere in that vicinity.
And so both will have landscape lighting, and we're going to landscape them both too. There'll be this one down here is not landscaped yet, but it will have landscape, and it'll have landscape lighting as well. Okay, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Davis.
yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Okay, another issue that the board needs to be aware of, I don't know how many firsts we've done during this administration, but we've had a lot of firsts. So it was brought to my attention recently that with some of the new residential developments in our city, that Entergy has requested that they set up a billing system, an account with Entergy while the subdivision is under construction. That prompted the discussion about when does the city take street lights, just like we wait before we actually take the streets and they become public streets when the development is a percentage built out, because we don't want to take a street where there's still going to be damaged by construction vehicles, that kind of thing. Well, it makes, my first comment about that was, it makes sense that we would take the lights when we take the street. I mean, why would you take the lights before the street? Because it's part of the development, and when it's ready for the public, we take it. I was then told that never in the history of all the homes that have been built in the great city of Southaven that this has never been done. That it's always been when the street lights went up, the city took them, even before the streets were ready. I find that odd. I didn't know that, but people have said that. I've also been told that the other cities do it in a variety of different ways. The county does it differently. Sometimes HOAs are responsible for them. Basically, the reason I bring this up tonight is I just want to hear from y'all. I mean, to me, my first thought was, like I said, why would you take the street lights before you take the street? The response to that from a private developer, which is a good one, is when the streets are built, and even though there's not a home on these lots, you face vandalism issues, you face promiscuity, on the vacant streets without lighting. So it serves a public interest for the city to have the lights. But anyway, I thought that was odd. But the last thing I would want to do is have a policy to where we're discouraging development in our city. We don't want to put the city of Southaven at any competitive disadvantage with anyone else as far as attracting residential home builders. So basically what I wanted to hear from my board members tonight is, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, do y'all want to go ahead and just take the lot? Because Nick has done the research. State law allows us to do it either way. We can take the street lights before we take the streets. And again, I don't want to punish anyone. I want to encourage development in our city. But share with me your thoughts.
So if we don't take the street lights early on,
They have to pay Entergy wise. For example, like we'll just let's use any development. Let's just say it's not uncommon for a good-sized residential development to take 5 to 7 years to finish. I mean, if it's a big one. Well, if they start putting the streets in, then they're paying the lighting cost for that amount of time before until they give the streets to us. So if we take them now, that saves them the money of paying for public lighting, or I guess you call it public or private. But
What are some of the other cities, what do they do? You said do you have any idea what they're talking about?
Whitney, will you update me on that? I know that we got different information,
It was kind of a hodgepodge. Olive Branch and Hernando are kind of in the same boat we're in. They don't have a written down policy, but majority of them take them as they're getting installed. There's a utility easement down both sides of the road. Whoever their electrical contractor comes in, installs the electrical lines, they then notify the city that they're getting put in. Entergy goes and plops them in, and the cities take them. DeSoto County was very different. They don't own a street light apparently anywhere in the county. Either the HOA or the developers, the ones who request them, have them installed and pay for them for the duration of the light working there. Hernando was looking at the same as DeSoto County. So there's, and I'm not sure what Horn Lake was, and they really couldn't give me any answers, but Olive Branch kind of follows suit with us. Hernando does right now, but they're looking to kind of go towards DeSoto County, and DeSoto County doesn't pay for a street light. So nobody's consistent.
And the other thing, just to make sure everybody's aware, like the city rents the lights from Entergy. Like we don't put the lights up. Like Entergy puts the lights up if it's on what would become a public street, and then stuff that's on private property, they choose their own lighting fixtures and they put them in and pay their own power costs. But like on public street, or what will become public streets, Entergy is the one that actually puts the fixtures up. lays the conduit to bring power to them. So, depending on how decorative you want them to be, like in some of our areas, we want decorative lighting. And so it can get expensive, like, with laying the conduit, paying for the fixtures. But just to clarify that the city doesn't, put the fixtures up. It's something that's done by Entergy.
Now, is that cost of the installation and stuff, do we pay that? Have we been paying that in the past?
Yeah, and this is something that, again, I'll just be real candid. It's strange to me, but Entergy, whatever your cost to put the lights in, whether you go with just a standard concrete pole or if you're getting into a decorative fixture, the cost that it takes to install that is worked into the rent agreement. So basically, perpetuity, you pay indefinitely on whatever the cost to put the lights in. That's why we're going to be extremely cautious, like from a budget standpoint. If we put decorative lighting in, we want to make sure that we do it in an efficient way, because the city's going to be renting that, paying for it, indefinitely.
Well, I know we've looked at different ways to cut down. If we went in and installed the lights ourselves, bought the lights, installed them ourselves, or even did the boring ourselves, that is something we could take off the bill forever and ever more. So we've been looking at different ways to cut it down. And that actually drastically cuts it down. If the city goes in and does the boring and purchases the lights and installs it, then essentially all we're doing is paying for the electricity.
And y'all know that we've talked about this publicly. We worked on a Main Street decorative lighting project to take some of the old poles down between Mill Branch and Highway 51 on Main Street. And we've had many discussions with Entergy about this, and we're gonna figure this out. But it's been complicated because, like Whitney's saying, they were going to charge us to lay conduit because the old light fixtures have been up there for so long, to beautify it, to put some, decorative poles that we can hang, Christmas banners and things like that. A lot of our citizens love the Christmas parade right there. I can assure you, we got some citizens that want their mayor to love Christmas, because they remind me all throughout the year, even in July. So we want to make it pretty right there, and but it's been costly. So we kind of thrown the brakes on. We continue to ask questions, so we want to make sure that it's affordable. So part of doing that is what Whitney's talking about. We may bring a presentation back to where the city pays the boring and laying the conduit, and then that way we just rent the electricity from Entergy. But that's kind of a related topic. But back to this issue. This is not really an issue of, it's going to be the same cost regardless of who's paying for it. Basically, the issue is, do you want to give relief, to the developers, and the city go ahead and take the cost of the electricity while the development is under construction?
Doesn't it also give relief to the homeowners, though, that are there while the subdivision's being built out?
Well, they're going to get it either way. It's just a matter of who's paying for it.
What about the lights? Who decides what lights get put up? If I'm a developer and I know the city's going to put the bill, I'm going to look for the best one out there, the most expensive.
Right. We've communicated. We have a plan now that we started about 3 years ago to improve the look of our neighborhoods.
Right, but I'm sure there's a great looking pole for $500, and there's really great for $1,500.
Sure, and that's what I was telling you. We have done that with we've offered, given a design to the developers of what the pole.
This is your allowance.
Well, no, we've given them like what it would look like, which pole. Like Entergy has, they have a catalog of poles that you can choose from.
That's what I'm saying. Pick within this allowance.
Right, and obviously we don't go for the most expensive one, but we're trying to improve the look of our neighborhoods and improve property values. So we have, suggested that, with Entergy, and we basically Whitney communicates that when the new development comes in, and so then they'll know what the cost, of the lighting is
Right, we put
based on
together a
which pole.
spec package for them that's got single head and dual heads.
Right.
It's what we usually require in the commercial areas too, to kind of get some consistency, but we put together a spec package, so when they come in, they get the spec package.
And just to add to that, if you're on your main collector streets, your bigger streets, you're going to have a double-headed fixture. But if you're just inside the development, you're going to have a single-headed fixture.
What are your thoughts,
If you do
Wendy?
something like that, once they have a percentage of, lots occupied and that kind of stuff, as opposed to.
That's the way our roads are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way the roads are, but
Yeah.
it's usually 80%.
Well, we might do something less than that, but we don't want to be providing a whole subdivision of empty stuff, and because our residents aren't getting anything out of it. Once the residents.
Well, they are. That's kind of, that's debatable. But here's what, again, I'm just sharing information. The private developer will tell you that we are getting a public benefit out of that because we're stopping promiscuity and vandalism. Because there's a lot of streets, if you go in and develop the streets, by the time you build the homes, I mean, we have subdivisions that have 500 homes in them, take 5 to 7 years to build them. Well, when you put those streets in, then you've made a public, or you've opened up that option for people, that want to go and do whatever they want to do on a hidden, undeveloped street. So the city does have a public challenge with that. So that would be their response, and I do agree with that. That's a good point. We do have that risk.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, I've looked at it from both ways. I think that from a safety standpoint, I think the benefit is, I like the idea of taking them almost immediately, simply because I think we're going to run into more complaints and more problems with it staying dark. If we did decide to do something else, I'm not opposed to that, but I would say that we should probably give warning out to the developers so they can budget appropriately in the future as they're trying to come up with designs, because that's expensive. It's a cost you're not looking at. You try to throw it into your utility and your infrastructure design. It's a big cost, so if we went that way, I'm sure it would cause some controversy in the development world. They would get used to it, but we kind of get them in the water with the foot first before we just let them dive in. I would give kind of a time period to get everybody used to it first.
So I've got a question. Say you're an HOA in the county and you go defunct.
That was my question, because we've had a couple of HOAs dissolve here, and it's against the city's will. We have no control. When they go, they just file with the Secretary of State and they're gone. Because we've had to take over detention areas and all kinds of issues in some subdivisions that shouldn't have been ours. State has taken on some and purchased back land from HOA, so that's a big question. I mean, I don't know. Nick's dealt with it, Mayor's dealt with it, I've dealt with it. There's, the city doesn't control that. I don't know whose issue that becomes, but right now, the issue with the HOAs that have dissolved here become our issues. So essentially, we would be taking on the streetlights.
I can answer that. It's going to be you.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Mayor?
My thoughts are this, and again, that's why I wanted to hear from y'all, because, I have mixed thoughts about it. I mean, like I said, my first thought was, why would we take the light before we take the street? It makes, from a logic standpoint, I would think that you would take them at the same time. But then, if I had to make a decision myself tonight, I would lean more towards erring on the side of being development friendly. Just for a temporary time, I wouldn't want to do anything that, eventually we're going to be paying for the lights anyway. And so just for us not having the cost of the lights for, 2-3 years, I would say that we're getting the benefit of that already, because when they start paying taxes they're paying taxes on a vacant lot. So realistically, we're getting a public benefit because we're collecting the taxes on these vacant lots before a home is built on them. So I do kind of agree that it would make sense, for us to take the lighting. So long way to say, if I were the one making the decision tonight, I would, after hearing everything that I've heard, I would err towards us taking the lights immediately.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Mr. Mayor, I agree too, but I still, just for sake, I wouldn't mind knowing like what Tupelo, Oxford.
I could do some more research and kind of go a little further.
I want to know what Madison does.
Madison, even.
All right, I will check with all the other larger cities that have some, especially decorative, the ones that are really trying to do
Gulfport.
enhancements.
Yeah, Ocean Springs.
Okay.
We'll just keep a huge list.
Well, I'll put together like a spreadsheet of all those, and you can add any extra names you want to. I'll do the research and bring something back next board meeting.
Okay. I mainly just wanted, because there's been a lot of discussion with Whitney and I and some developers, so I just wanted y'all to be aware of that, because I know Alderman Flores had a call about a couple lights that were in the situation where it's not ready for them to be given to us yet, and so we're waiting for kind of to make a decision on what we do with that until we know what our policy is. So if it's okay with y'all, why don't we bring this right back up at the next meeting? And that should give Whitney time to gather some more information, then we'll just go ahead and hammer down a decision at the next meeting.
I just never thought about it. That's,
Well, I didn't know it was an issue until about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I never knew it was an issue, so. Is that okay with everybody if we do that? Does anybody else got any input before we move on? Okay, we'll bring that back up at the next meeting. Okay, and moving on here, the next thing is, when we did our budget hearings, we talked about a paving proposal, just experimenting with the idea of maybe adding a paving department to our city. Our department head of Public Works, Bradley Wallace, and Robert Booth have done an outstanding job of making a presentation. We're still combing through some information. I want to talk to Dan Cordell, and I've had time to talk to him about it. He's been my leader with the paving through our private contractors, the whole time I've been mayor. So I rely on him a lot. I want to have some time to sit down one-on-one and come through some numbers with him. But I did want to report to y'all that we've done a lot of research on it, and the proposal, we feel like to bring paving in-house to do it, we feel like we would need about $550,000 in equipment up front. And what that is, that breaks down to a paving machine, 2 dump trucks, and a roller. Let me get to my page here. Yeah, paving machine, 2 dump trucks, and a roller. We feel like it would be better to the areas that have to be milled, rather than buying a very expensive milling machine. We could still contract the milling. A lot of the streets do not have to be milled. If it's not curb and gutter, it doesn't have to be milled. Obviously, with final lifts on new developments, you don't have to mill that. You just lay the asphalt. So we believe that there's some serious potential savings here, and that's why I wanted to update you. So $550,000 up front. The budget hearing was tonight. None of this, if we do decide to go this route, none of it will affect our anything that would have an impact on the budget. What we would do is take our cost of personnel, which is estimated to be about $275,000. We'd have to hire people that have this skill set. This is not just someone we could take in-house and train them. We would have to hire people that have experience in paving. We believe that we can do that for $275,000 a year. With $275,000, if you do the math on that, we believe that right now with a $2 million budget, generally your materials are about half of what we're spending. So if we're paving $2 million in streets, about $1 million of that is materials. Obviously, we still have that cost. But if we can, with the milling contract and the cost of labor, you're looking at about $475,000 of recurring annual cost. So you would be paving 1.475. Your cost to pave $2 million in streets would be about 1.475. So you're saving $525,000. Well, you do the math on that. You're up front. Your equipment $550. You're almost paying for that in the first year, paying for your equipment. So I think that there's still some other questions. Obviously, this is a big decision if we do this, but we want to be cautious. Like I said, I want to talk some more in detail, but I just wanted to give you an update that this has got my attention, and the reason it's got my attention, and Dan Cordell knows this. We assign. I mean, our contractor does a great job. I have nothing negative to say about that. It's just a matter of we're at their mercy. Y'all know that we've had citizens that have come forward and said, hey, look, y'all milled my street, but that's been a month ago. What is the delay? Why are you waiting? I don't like to see my street like that. My little girl can't ride her bicycle when she gets home from school. I just multiply that times thousands. That's the number of calls I get. The other thing is we're waiting on them for a certain time. We're totally at their mercy. So like we're a sandwich job for them. So like when they're doing a big job, that's a larger project, when they get done with that, then they come start working on our streets. And we get them all done, but it's a drawn out project. A lot of times during the winter months, nothing is going on. Basically, our streets are paved generally, the most part, from March until really June. And then other than just maybe a few here and there, that's about it. Well, if we had our own department, we can pave more streets. We can decide when we pave them. We can be more flexible. A lot of times throughout the winter months, we may have a list of streets that we feel like are a priority to be done, and then after a bad winter, everybody starts calling in January, hey, this street's falling apart, this is a mess. Well, if we have our own paving crew, then when the asphalt plants open back up, we get the asphalt on a warm, sunny day in January, we pave the streets. And like I said, it's just got my attention. I'm tired of being at the mercy of somebody else. I want to be able to get our streets in better condition. And the other thing, y'all heard me say this in the budget workshops, we've done a lot of research. Dan Cordell and Civil Link have been instrumental in helping us be much more progressive and aggressive with street improvement. But I can tell you right now, I didn't know anything about paving streets in 2013, but I can tell you right now, after doing this for 6 years, $2 million is nowhere near enough. It's what we would have to have paying somebody else to keep our streets in the standard that I think Southaven needs is about double that. And in this year's budget, you have 2. But if you're going to continue paying somebody else to do it, I'm just telling you now, I stand by that. It needs to be about 4.
Well, we keep falling farther behind.
That's right.
So we'll be like a dog chasing our tail the whole time.
Right, and we're like I said, with Dan's help, I would put our program up against anybody else in the area. We've got a very aggressive program. We've done a lot of research and studies in doing it, but still, we're just not getting there. And the more I consider these things that I'm talking about tonight, I'm very interested in looking at taking this jump and doing it. But again, not asking any action tonight. I just wanted to kind of update you on the numbers, and we're going to come through it some more before we do it. The last other piece of information I would update you with is the equipment is available. I wanted to know if we did this, are we having to order equipment and wait half a year before we get it? And we don't believe that's a problem. We believe that the equipment is in the Memphis Metro that we could go buy. Also, the labor, we feel like that this $275,000 is adequate to go into the marketplace and get laborers from some of these other companies. A lot of these people now pave streets in the summer and they collect unemployment in the winter or deer hunt. So if we have our own crew, we could be appealing to them like giving them a job 12 months a year. So I believe it's encouraging. I think that it's something we should seriously consider doing.
And we can use them other projects too as well.
Certainly.
Does the county pave their own, don't they have their own paving crews?
They have more than we do. Dan, no, the county has more, they do more of it. Yeah. Do they do all of it?
They don't do all of it. There are certain projects they still sub out.
Okay. And we would still, again, with us, we wouldn't do everything, but there would still be projects like State Line that we're about to do within a couple of weeks. State Line is going to be patched, and we'll start doing that one. We'll always have projects like that will be too big for us. We'll definitely still, bring in contractors for that, but mainly what I'm talking about, the majority of what we're doing, your neighborhood streets that are in terrible, a lot of them are in terrible condition.
The county may be a good source for us to get a price per mile they're paying and how much you're saving to kind of get an idea of the figures.
We do, but we actually have that data ourselves. We have that data. Yeah. But anyway, that's all. I just wanted to kind of give you an update because at our last budget workshop, I didn't have all the numbers, but I just wanted you to be aware of the process, and I'll continue to update everybody about that. Okay, and then I think I'm to the end. Hang on just a second here. Okay, last thing, again, we got the information just yesterday, but we got the information for the City Hall renovation project, and Mr. Brian Bullard with Urban Arc is here with us tonight, so I want to hear what he has to say about his recommendation to awarding the bid for the City Hall renovation.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Brian.
Board. Well, you may recall a couple of months ago, we opened up the bids for the City Hall package, and we noted to you all that we didn't feel like we were really getting a fair shake. We weren't getting the best bid that we could get. A lot of it had to do with the roofing component of that job. The roofing component essentially was kind of really making the project too complex for general contractors to want to touch it. So what we were getting was only one bid on roofing. It exacerbated the whole issue and kind of shot the budget out of whack on us. So our recommendation to you at that point in time was to get creative and basically split the bid project so that we would do the building renovation project separate from the roof project and bid those out separate. I'm happy to say that we did receive bids on August 7th. for the building renovations portion of this, so we're basically halfway home, and it's working. Our bids that we received on the 7th, the lowest and what we believe to be the best bid is $1,117,808. That is from F&F Construction. And the reason why I say that I think we're in good shape right now is that compared to where we were 2 months ago, when this was a combined bid between the renovation of the building plus the roofing, we were at $2.25 million. And that bid consisted of about $1.25 million for the renovations of the city hall, plus about $1 million for the roofing project. So the way we look at it right now, we've saved about $130,000 by making this decision. So our hope right now is that, and our recommendation would be to accept this portion and then let us bid the roof that's currently out for bids currently. And we expect to take those bids here in the next few weeks, and we're hoping we'll come out on top with that piece as well. Any more questions?
Do you need a motion to accept that bid?
Yes, yeah, if you'll make a motion, then we'll open up the floor for any other discussion, please.
I will make that motion to accept the bid for F&F Construction for the mayor to sign the contract.
Okay, have a motion by Alderman Flores,
Second, sorry.
second by Alderman Payne. Any discussion?
What are the other closest bids? Do you kind of have that?
I do have that. Our next bid was about $35,000 more than that, and that would be our own Murphy and Sons Construction. Then we had one about $150,000 higher, and then another about another $100,000 higher. So decent little spread there between 1 and 4, but 1 and 2 are really pretty close together.
Most of those are local?
Yes. So that's indicated to us that they were pricing the same thing. Now, you asked me if both of them are local. F&F Construction, I believe, is based out of Memphis, and I'm not sure if they have a Southaven office, but they're both generally what we consider local contractors.
And the plan is still on the roof, like upcoming, we'll bid that one.
That's right.
Soon.
It's out to bid right now. I think, I can't recall the exact bid date, but it's sometime in the next, in the first week or so, maybe week to 10 days of September.
Okay.
And when we receive those bids, we're getting some pretty good vibes that those numbers are gonna be a lot better than what we got a couple months ago. So
Okay, good.
it's our thought, again, there's no guarantees at this point in time, but it's our thought that we're gonna come out way ahead by going through this process.
If y'all remember, that was, 3-4 months ago when we did the original bid?
It was about 2 months ago.
2 months ago, okay. So we've had to delay it, but we're, again, for hopes of what Brian's talking about, hopefully to get, more competitive pricing on it. Okay, any other discussion about accepting the bid or awarding the bid for the City Hall renovation? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher?
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you all.
Okay, and that's all I have on my mayor's report this evening. Next on the agenda is our citizens agenda. We did not have anyone that contacted us, but anyone that's in the audience that would like to speak, please come forward and state your name. Anyone want to speak tonight? Okay, looks like we have no one on the citizens agenda. Next on the agenda is our personnel docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the personnel docket as presented on the state.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher?
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is our city attorney's legal update. Mr. Nick Manley again.
Just have one quick item. Need authorization for reimbursement to Sweeney Ridge Homeowners Association, the amount of $438.71. Evidently, they have been paying the energy bill or electricity bill for a substation on the north end of Sweeney Ridge for the last 20 years. That being said, you you can only hold a city liable for 1 year's worth of claims. So the 1 year of claims would be $438.71. So we'll reimburse them for their payments on behalf of the city.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. All right, next on the agenda is a utility bill adjustment docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the utility bill adjustment docket as presented on your state.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, a second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Do I need anyone in the audience? Is that necessary? Okay. Okay, hearing no discussion among the board, roll call, please.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher?
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
That motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda are claims dockets. Looks like we just have one docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the claims docket in the amount of $2,119,643.68, including demand checks.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher?
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda, we need to determine the need for executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Wheeler. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The need this evening is potential litigation and claims involving the Southaven Police Department, Parks and Public Works, personnel and police and utilities, economic development within our city, and the potential sale of city property. Is there a motion to declare executive session?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Wheeler. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The mayor and board will now enter executive session.